a early childhood specialist. I have over 20 years experience in early childhood. I have been a director of childcare. I have worked for Head Start, and I love to help you today on things that you can do. Today's video is going to be actually about things to help teachers with CLASS, which is an assessment tool often used by Head Start or by companies to assess how their teachers are doing as a team, their lead teachers, and how they're interacting with their children and their classroom overall. So those familiar with CLASS, I have some tips for you. I have 5 tips that will help you score high in CLASS. So I'm going to go over them now. They're very helpful, and I have used them myself and grown in CLASS. I love talking about CLASS all day. So if you really want to score high, please listen to these tips, and it will help you just kind of practice them a little bit in your own house when you're getting ready for your activity that day, and class is going to come observe you. Kind of practice the kind of things you would want to say, just to kind of get in your groove, so that when someone comes to observe you, you kind of already got these 5 things in your head, and you've already been practicing them. So you just feel more confident, and it also helps you be relaxed, and it helps you interact with the children like you do every day. And it shows those connections that you've already made in the classroom. It shows that you have a school family, but it also lets you just kind of be at ease. Like, I've got these 5 things memorized. I've been practicing them. If I forget one of them, it's okay. So there's one I'll tell you now that I always forget, and it's okay, because out of all the tips I'm going to give you, if you talk too much, that's the one I'm okay with taking. I would cover all these things I need to cover to score well in class and to show my interaction. But I always got in trouble for not slowing down enough because I was trying too hard. So the part where I would get like a negative was that I didn't stop and listen more. So you still want to make sure that you take the moment to listen for the feedback with the children. But I can tell you that by memorizing these things and trying your best, it's okay to get dinged a little bit that you didn't stop for too long. Because I wanted the observer to see that I do these things on a daily basis, and I do know the children. So anyway, let's get to it. Sorry. Okay, so number 1, I see. So you want to memorize, I see blank. I see you are cutting with your scissors. I see you are using the marker pink. I see. I see what you are doing. Kind of like Johnny is holding a spoon, but you're not going to say that. You're going to say, I see you're using a spoon. But with preschool, of course, you're going to do different things that you're actually seeing going on. But you're teaching them as they go. I see that you are moving that paper. It's a circle. That paper is a circle. I see you are turning the paper to cut out that circle with your scissors. Good job. You are turning the circle. You're turning the circle with one hand while you cut with the other. Look, you are following the line. Those I see, that's mirror talk. So you want to use mirror talk. The second thing, so I see. The second thing is feedback. These aren't in particular order, but feedback is what I was talking about. When you hear what they're saying, you listen to what they're saying, and then you basically say, I hear. I hear that you're telling me that you enjoyed camping yesterday on the weekend with your dad. Or, I hear, and then you expand off that feedback. Mirror talk and feedback. Number 3, information talk. That's where you're doing that also can go along with expansion, that you're basically, expansion will just be expansion as you're in your zone. But basically mirror talk, feedback, and information talk. Information talk, I'm going to give you a really good example of what I use during class because it always happened to me in the fall. So I actually did this twice because I loved it. I got gourds and pumpkins because it was fall. And I would let the children feel the pumpkins, feel the gourds. We talk about how some are smooth, some are rough. So I got to use the vocabulary of smooth and rough and what it means. But information talk is where you would say, did you know that a pumpkin is actually a fruit? And they'd be like, oh. And you'd be like, yes, because it grows on a vine. Most people don't know that pumpkins are not a vegetable. They are considered a fruit. And it is in the fruit family. And the pumpkin sister is a gourd because it's also a fruit grown on a vine. So pumpkins and gourds are considered fruits. And they're just like blown away. So that's something you definitely want to do your research before you do class on what you're teaching. So you have these kind of unique things to say about your product. So I want to say this much about these fruits, these gourds and these pumpkins. And I want to use vocabulary. That's the next thing. So let's stay on information talk for a minute. But yes, you want to inform them. You want to inform them something new, something informational, something that they can learn from. So my information talk was always pumpkin is a fruit. And I'd have so much more memorized that I looked and researched of anything going on at any table. Because, in class, sometimes they'll observe you when you're doing your groups. So you might have 3 different groups going on at once. So you want to train your assistant or your co-teacher to do the same thing and have all their information ready to go. So number 1 is mirror talk. Number 2 is feedback. Number 3 was information talk. And number 4 led us right into vocabulary. So what is a gourd? You want to make sure you have that vocabulary. What does smooth mean? What does rough mean? How does that feel? So the vocabulary definitely has to be in there. The more vocabulary you use, the higher you're going to get a score. The more information talk you use and expand on that information talk. And I see. So that leads us lastly into how does it feel? That is number 5. Number 5 is open-ended questions. What does it feel like? How did that go? Like you don't want to say, how did that roll? Because then you're putting the words into their mouth. You want to say the what does, for instance, it feels like, how does this one compare to the other one? Do you like, oh, no, sorry, not do you like, but basically the what, the where, the how, the who, but whatever you do in your questions, whatever you come up with, you need to make sure that it doesn't end with a yes or no. Like, do you like that pumpkin? Yes. That's not an open-ended question. So we know this. So make sure that the questions you ask are things that the child can answer. And you didn't give them a one-liner. You didn't give them the answer. And through them answering you, that's where that feedback is going to come in because they're answering you. So I learned in my experience of scoring higher on class, like I said before, with the 5 things: mirror talk, feedback, information talk, vocabulary, and open-ended questions. I learned that you do want to talk your head off because when you talk about all these things going on in front of you while the children are there, of course, you want to make sure they're engaged, though, and they're answering you with open-ended questions. You want to make sure you are having those conversations because I would just get too excited and go too fast. But make sure you are definitely concentrating on the children, but you got these things down in your head and you practice saying them over and over at home or wherever you're going to use them, that you've gotten used to it. Maybe you practice for a week. People next to you will think you're kind of nuts because you're just overboarding everything you're teaching. Like, whoa, she's overboarding that information. But you're training yourself that this is what I should be doing every day. And class is coming and I'm ready. And it just helps you know that you've got it. And that's just coming from a teacher to a teacher. You do want to practice, but also you should make it your norm. It should be something that you want to do every day. So remember to talk a lot, do these 5 things, and please, please, please do your research on the topic you're going to teach and have everyone in the room that is teaching have done their research too and try to get observed when you're doing some kind of groups. Okay, thank you.